So a little background on my church. We are a relatively new church. We started 11 years ago. Our church focuses on people in the margins. So we have no physicians, no attorneys, no business owners in our church. And our folks are largely working class. And so the question, I think, as a pastor is, can something like this work for people with that income level? And it's not a large church. Our average attendance on Sunday mornings is about 225. So can it work for a church my size? Can it for a church that's my financial level? Our experience was just phenomenal. The year before we had our first GIC, our faith promise was, not our faith promise, our missions budget, so the line item inside the missions budget was $7,000. The year that we had our GIC, through the faith promise, $70,000 was given directly to missions. $70,000 for a budget that's roughly around $300,000. So that just freed us up. It just gave us this huge window. All of a sudden, we were able to be legitimate partners for people. That's the giving side. The going side was interesting for us. We had sort of the opposite problem on that side. So many of our people are brand new Christians, have had either no experience of church or a bad experience of church. So they come into this place where they experience this love and this grace and this redemption, and they just want to give it to everybody. So our missions, our outreach was a mile wide and an inch deep. And I'm a permission-giving pastor. If you want to do it, sure. You found a way to do it, you can go do it. And that turns out not to be a great thing after a while. It's just too much going on. So what the Mission Society's program taught us was how to be strategic in our thinking, how to focus. We developed a missions policy, which has helped tremendously. And just sort of, it's on paper here. This is what we can do and can't do. We're all on the same page. And then we looked at our mission partners, the things that we're good at, the places where we saw fruit being born, and we really honestly evaluated those things that we're doing just because somebody feels good about it and those things that are making a difference to the kingdom. And we decided to focus on those things that are making a legitimate difference, where we see fruit happening. And we settled on 14 partners. And we said to people, it's fine. If you want to do other things aside from what we're doing with these partners, that's great. You're an adult. You can do anything you want to do. But the church as a whole is going to focus on these partnerships. And that made people, it didn't force them, but it motivated them to get educated about those partnerships. Another obstacle for us was the idea of doing anything internationally. We had a lot of local missions. We had a couple of regional things. We had almost nothing internationally. And for us, the reason partly, and just, kind of the church we are, we had some felons in the church and some people who had restrictions due to probation. And so they can't go international. And everybody was being very loyal to those few folks, and we'll just do our stuff locally. We'll just do it locally. They didn't have an imagination for international travel. So that made those mission partners coming in for a weekend so critical, because when you meet the person who's living in India, when you meet the person who's another person just like you who goes to Haiti 4 or 5 times a year, when you meet the guy who started a whole ministry in Venezuela, well, then there's a face to it, and there's a name and a face, and I trust this person, and I hear their heart, and the Holy Spirit gets all up in those conversations, and something happens. And last year we had a mission trip to Haiti. 6 or 8 people went on that. We had a mission trip to India. 8 people went to India, including 2 who have never flown on an airplane before. And they got their hearts broken, and they got to see what God's doing in the rest of the world. And that was our thing. We just want you to catch God's heart for the whole world, because it's not just God's heart for your county or your town. What is God's heart for the whole world? And that's what's opened up for us. The financial doors have opened up for us, obviously. The doors into the world have opened up to us. And we've also learned how to close some doors. Not because there aren't some great things happening out there, but one church can't do everything. And so this gave us a strategic approach and a reasoned approach for closing those doors. We weren't doing it on an emotional level. It didn't cause arguments. We just decided to be strategic, and it worked for us.